Beach Bunny, Emotional Creature album review. Let's chat about it. Hey friends, what's going on? John here from What's Spinning, here tonight to chat about this latest full-length album from Beach Bunny. These guys and gals are a Chicago-based band. They've been steadily releasing EPs since the early 2010s, but with the release of their first full-length album, Honeymoon, really won the hearts of many. It's an album that at the time a lot of my friends told me to check out and review. I did not. I was a late bloomer on this album, and I'm really sad that I was. This thing is so great. It's so full of just lighthearted choruses. It's insanely catchy. It's breezy. It's instantaneous and a lot of fun. They really did their homework on writing very accessible power pop tracks with great riffs and awesome choruses. It excited me so much I couldn't wait to see what they were going to do next. And they followed it up last year with the Blame Game EP, an EP that I thought was really good. And leading up to this album, I was so excited for it because, the artwork on this thing, which seems to have vocalist Lily Trafilio getting a hug from Dr. Manhattan. Weird, okay, but I'm for it. Also, not for nothing, the singles, one after another, for the most part, have been pretty awesome leading up to this album. Let's chat about it. This album starts off with Entropy, and it's really good. This is the intro that I wanted. It is so blissful, so sweet, so full of love. Like, it is straight up adorable and catchy, too. This chorus alone may be the biggest hook they've ever put out. I really mean that, too. And not only that, if you haven't listened to anything from Beach Bunny yet, give this a listen. This is a great diving in point and easily one of my favorite singles of the year. And if you needed something a little bit more upbeat, maybe something with a little bit more of a upbeat riff to a little crunchiness, something much like their debut album, Honeymoon, look no further than Oxygen. This is just as emotionally potent, but it's got a little bit more of a riff. It's got a little crunch to it, all while remaining just as blissful and sweet and catchy. And the sentiment behind this track and a lot of the tracks on this album are just plain nice. I love it. Gone is really nice too. It's breezy, it's upbeat, it's perfect for summer. Like, I don't know where the band learned to write these awesome hooks, but so many of them on this album just knock it out of the park. The band just has such an infectious, instantaneous sound that just makes me really happy. Now, I need to talk about the production of this album very quickly. It's not something that I usually want to hone in on an album like this, but it is going to alienate some fans of Beach Bunny. I think it's gonna be a major selling point. This is a much cleaner album this time around. It's gussied up, it's glossy, it's much shinier sounding, and that leads to a few, not too many, but a few real snoozers. Like, take for example Deadweight. And look, the amount of commendable material on this album, it's awesome. But the 2 or 3 tracks on here that don't stand out as much are actually some of the band's worst material in a while. Deadweight is just really flaky and very average. This sounds like it could have been any indie rock band going for a slightly poppier sound. When the band is dishing out an anthem on this album, the shiny, gussied up production actually makes it pop a lot harder. But when we get a very sloppy average track like this, things get messy very quickly. And this may come as a big surprise. Weeds is actually my least favorite track here. When I first heard this as a single, my first thought was that Beach Bunny were really playing it safe. Compared to some of the other singles that they dropped, it doesn't have that same gut punch, that same energy. The heart is missing too. They're just so much better than this. This is very average. I mean, lyrically, it's still expertly crafted, but I just know they could do a lot better. Scream also, I'm not a big fan of. I actually do like the production quite a bit on this track. I think the spacey synths that the band brings in, it's actually really cool. But the low energy behind this track just makes it plod along, and it's just not exciting. It doesn't grab me. It's a lot more faceless than I like hearing Beach Bunny. Love Song as a finale too is very average. It's just not as expertly crafted as some of the other material here. I mean, it does bring in some sounds of alternative rock, which I think is a nice touch. It's something they've done in the past. I mean, some of the guitar solos here are great, and this chorus is still very enjoyable, but this is almost 6 minutes. It's just kind of sloppy. That being said, the rest of this album is expertly crafted and some of the most instantaneous and just likable power pop and indie rock that I've heard all year. I love Eventually as well. I mean, you're going to realize this about a lot of the tracks on here. There's nothing too complicated going on here. These are tracks that you can just put on and feel good. And this chorus here, it may be one of the biggest and best of the album. It's just so good. I love Fire Escape as well. I've loved it since I first heard it as a single. I love the wailing riff on this track, and Lily's vocal performance, once again, is stunning. Once again, we get a strong 90s alternative rock sound. This one comes off a lot better. It's something they've done in the past. It's something that they've nailed in the past. This is no different. The good vibes and the sweet feelings remain very strong, and I'm going to say it again. If the production on this album is a little bit too shiny for you, trust me, I get it. Gravity, I think it's a very strong interlude. This is a heavily produced, very sonic sounding interlude with a lot of cosmic synths and production tricks and a shocking amount of atmosphere. I would personally love to hear them bring in even more synths in the future. That could be really good. But while it's not too wild of an interlude, it does a very good job of stringing together the thoughts and the narrative of this album in a nice way, tying up some loose ends as well. Infinity Room is really nice too. Initially I was lukewarm on it, but it's grown on me a lot. It is a short and sweet, airy little ballad filled with great production and some really good use of ambient sound. It's really sweet. And Karaoke is just one final blast of really great power pop late in the album. I love the way this track builds very quickly from a quiet, sort of stripped down tune to another anthem. It's upbeat, it's breezy. I can't help but just putting on most of this album and just feeling good, feeling full of life and love and just good vibes and good feelings. That's what a lot of this album is. And yes, there are a handful of tracks on here that I'm not into. Maybe some of them aren't the worst sins committed in the world of power pop and indie rock, but the majority of this album I can't say no to. I really have a hard time giving this album anything else than a really light 8. I think it's infectious, catchy, and just super instantaneous and one of the more memorable rock releases of the year. But let me know what you guys and gals think down below. If you liked the video, be sure to give us a like, give us a subscribe, and let me know down below what you would like for me to chat about in the future. And until next time, have a great day, friends.